Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I continue bringing you the story of Tieu San and Hai. A new day begins once again. Not with noise, not with haste, but gently unfolding in the familiar stillness of the early morning. Tieu San wakes up very early, when the sky still carries a slight chill from the night before, when the sunlight has not yet had time to filter through the leaves outside the garden. The space around her is still quiet, only a few very soft, very gentle sounds can be heard, like the breeze passing by, like the faint rustling of leaves, just enough for one to feel that a new day is slowly taking shape. For Tieu San, that moment is no longer unfamiliar. In fact, it has become part of the rhythm of her life. Each passing day carries its own unique feeling. Not something too grand, not loud or overwhelming joy, but peace, a kind of peace enough to calm the heart. A gentleness, enough for her to begin the day without feeling pressure. And above all, a quiet source of motivation, yet a lasting one. Not because her life has become perfect. Not because everything is going smoothly. But because she has gradually learned to look at things in a different way. She has learned to slow down, learn to observe, and learn to cherish the things that seem very small. The things that, in the past, she may have unintentionally overlooked. After finishing a few simple tasks around the house, Tieu San picks up her familiar basket and steps outside. The road leading to the market is not far, but it is enough for her to clearly feel the atmosphere of the morning. Everything gradually becomes more vivid. The sounds also begin to appear more and more. Yet none of it takes away the pleasant feeling from the start. At the market, she is not in a hurry. She does not just glance over everything carelessly. Instead, she pauses, observes, chooses each fresh shrimp. She carefully looks at its color, its clarity, its freshness. Each bundle of green vegetables. She gently picks it up, checks the leaves, checks the stems, feels the crispness. She asks the price, but not to bargain hastily. Rather, to understand better, to consider, to choose what is most suitable. Every action she takes happens slowly. There is no rush. There is no carelessness. Because to Tieu San, a good meal does not simply depend on how it is cooked. It begins with what she chooses to bring home. From the ingredients, to the carefulness, to even the attention given to every small detail. Leaving the market, she does not rush straight home. Instead, she stops by the small garden behind the house. A place that is not very large, but brings her a sense of closeness. She bends down, gently picking fresh lettuce leaves, looking around to see whether there are any bottle gourds left hanging on the trellis. Everything there is not too perfect, not too abundant. Yet it still makes her feel that it is enough. A sense of fullness that does not come from quantity, but from the connection between her and what she has. When she returns, the familiar kitchen appears before her once more. Nothing has changed, yet it carries a very special feeling. A place where, every day, she spends her time, not only to cook, but also to learn, to try, to improve herself. Tieu San sets down the basket, arranges the ingredients, then begins preparing the meal. Today, she decides to make a mixed hot pot. It is not a random choice, but something prepared with thought. Because she wants to try again the recipe she has just learned from a book. A recipe she has read very carefully. memorized step by step, yet still wants to make with her own hands, so that she can understand it more deeply. She begins. One step at a time. The tomatoes are cut, then lightly stir-fried in the pan to create color. No rush. No careless handling. But carefully, so that every detail turns out just as she hopes. The chicken bones are simmered. Not just for a moment, but for long enough for their natural sweetness to slowly come out. She does not walk away. Instead, from time to time, she checks on it, adjusting the heat, observing, making sure everything is going the right way. After that, she adds coconut water. A small step, yet one that makes a difference, bringing a light, refreshing taste, making the broth more harmonious. Every stage is carried out with focus, not just to finish it, but to do it consciously. For Tieu San, cooking at this moment is no longer simply an everyday task, but a journey of learning, a way for her to gradually perfect herself. From the smallest things, step by step, slowly, but surely. And it is also from those seemingly simple things that a new rhythm of life is gradually taking shape. A rhythm of life where she no longer chases after things too far away, but only needs to focus on the present, do well with what she has, and continue to move forward. While the kitchen was still filled with rising steam, the vapor from the hot pot lifted into the air, spreading through the small space, carrying a warm, gentle aroma. The familiar sounds of cooking, the soft bubbling of boiling water, the light clink of a spoon touching the pot, all blended together, creating a rhythm that belonged only to that kitchen. And in that very moment, the door quietly opened. Hai returned. No noise. No rush. He stepped inside the way he always did, calm, steady, as if he had long been a part of this space. He didn't say much. Just a few simple questions. Did you wake up early today? Are you tired? Nothing special. Not long. Not elaborate. Yet they carried a very clear sense of care. His gaze moved across the kitchen, paused at Tieu San, then shifted to the pot gently boiling. There was no need for many words. Everything could be felt. That very simplicity made the space feel warmer. Not a kind of warmth that comes from grand gestures, but from presence. From the feeling that someone is there. From care, expressed in the most natural way. Tieu San continued with what she was doing. But her voice softened. She asked Hai for a small favor. To pick up ivy. Just something ordinary. Nothing special. Yet it carried a different meaning. It wasn't a request out of necessity, but a sign of trust. A habit that had slowly formed. A quiet understanding that didn't need many words. Hai nodded. No questions. No hesitation. He left, just as gently as he had arrived. And during that time, the kitchen continued in its rhythm. Tieu San cleaned. Arranged everything neatly. Checked the broth again. Prepared more vegetables, more side dishes. Everything she did was careful. Nothing overlooked. Nothing done carelessly. Just as she had begun her day. All the way until now. A short while passed. But enough for everything to gradually come together. And then, the door opened once more. Ivy returned. Together with Hai. In just a moment, the atmosphere in the house completely changed. No longer the quiet stillness from before, but something livelier. Small footsteps. Familiar voices. One innocent question after another. What are we eating, Mom? Is it delicious? Can I help with anything? A clear, cheerful voice. Full of excitement. Lighting up the small home. Tieu San turned back. Her gaze softened. She continued tidying up, while answering each of Ivy's questions. No rush. No impatience. Just gentle. And calm. Small actions. Yet filled with so much love. She adjusted the table. Placed each dish in its spot. Prepared bowls and chops, but at least, what she was doing was gradually moving in the right direction. There was no need to rush. No need to be perfect right away. Just step by step. Slowly. But surely. And in that small space, amid the simple sounds of the meal, a familiar feeling returned. Not something grand, but enough to realize that moments like these were what they were quietly holding on to. A continuation. Natural. Gentle. Just like the way everything had begun at the start of the day, and was still going on. Amid those simple conversations, the atmosphere at the dining table remained just as warm. There were no grand discussions. Nothing that made anyone think too deeply. Just small questions, small exchanges. Yet enough to connect each person together. And then, in a very natural moment, Tieu San gently paused. She looked at the hot pot in front of her. Then slowly began to speak. No rush. No attempt to draw attention. Just a thought that had been in her heart for a long time. She spoke about her dream. A small restaurant. Not a big place. No need for too many tables and chairs. No need for luxury. No need to stand out among others. Just a space that is enough. A place where she can personally cook dishes in her own way. A place where, when people walk in, they can feel warmth. Just like the feeling this family meal is bringing. Not complicated dishes. Not anything too special. But a feeling of sitting down. Of having a complete meal. Of feeling comfortable. Of feeling that they belong there. Tieu San's voice was not loud, but clear. Not an unrealistic dream, but a very specific desire. Very real. Very close to life. She did not talk much about the distant future. Did not paint anything too grand. Just simply something she wanted to do. Something she believed she could achieve step by step. Hai listened. He did not interrupt. Did not react hastily. Did not laugh. Nor did he see it as something far away. His gaze remained focused. The same way he had been listening to her all along. A kind of listening. Not just to hear, but to understand. After Tieu San finished speaking, he gently responded. Not with fancy words. Not with empty encouragement. Just one sentence. Short. But clear. If she truly wanted it, he would always support her. Not with words, but with actions. With companionship. And when the time was right, he would ask friends for help. so she could begin. A sentence. Not too big. Did not change the atmosphere. But enough for Tieu San to feel something very clearly. A sense of reassurance. Not because someone would do it for her. Not because everything would become easy. But because there was someone who believed she could do it. Who believed in her ability. Who believed in the path she had chosen. To Tieu San, that mattered more than anything else. Because she understood. A dream cannot be completed in a single day. Nor can it rely on others. But if there is someone by your side, without doubt, without denial, always believing, then everything becomes more steady. She said nothing more. Just gently nodded. A soft smile. But enough to show agreement. Understanding. And a belief. Gradually becoming clearer. The meal continued. Just as it had from the beginning. No sudden changes. Nothing broken. Everything remained gentle. But inside, there was something new. A direction. A goal. Something to keep striving for. Time passed. The meal came to an end. The house slowly returned to its familiar rhythm. At the end of the day, everything returned to calmness. No noise. No rush. Ivy continued playing. With her own simple joys. Tieu San cleaned up. Little by little. No hurry. No carelessness. Hai sat nearby. Occasionally watching. Saying nothing. Yet still present. All of it created a scene. So ordinary. Nothing extraordinary. Nothing surprising. Yet it made one feel warm. A warmth. Not from grand things. But from what is already there. What is happening. What exists naturally. And perhaps, happiness is not something far away. Not something too big. But when, after a long day, you have a place to return to. A place where you don't need to try to be someone else. Don't need to force yourself. Just be yourself. There is a warm meal. Prepared with care. There are people who do not leave. Do not abandon. But stay there. Waiting for you. No need to say much. Yet always present. Always beside you. The story of Tieu San and Hai is not something dramatic. There are no major conflicts. No intense situations. But it makes people believe that simple things can still hold great value. That as long as there is love, effort, and faith, even the smallest moments can become part of a complete happiness. And that journey is still continuing. Gently, slowly, but never stopping. Stay tuned for the next videos on my channel to find out more.
Hello mọi người, cảm mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay của mình. Chúc mọi người có một ngày mới vui vẻ, hạnh phúc và một ngày làm việc tràn đầy năng lượng. Hiện tại những câu chuyện mình chia sẻ đang viết về những người mẹ đơn thân Tiểu San và tình yêu của Tiểu San dành cho Hải. Thì hiện tại câu chuyện đã đi được khá dài và nhờ có sự đồng hành của mọi người thì mình cũng đã có động lực để làm video nhiều hơn. Nếu mọi người yêu thích những câu chuyện và yêu thích nhân vật Tiểu San thì nhớ đón xem những video tiếp theo và ủng hộ kênh cho mình để mình có động lực ra nhiều video hơn nha. Cảm ơn mọi người và hy vọng rằng mọi người sẽ chia sẻ kênh của mình đến bạn bè để mọi người cùng biết đến và cùng lắng nghe những câu chuyện của mình. Hẹn gặp lại mọi người trong những video tiếp theo của mình nhé.